Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
Copy that. JSC PAO, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Courtney Beasley with JSC PAO. How do you hear me?
Hello, Courtney. We got you loud and clear. How us?
I hear you loud and clear. It's good to see all of your smiling faces today. We'll be taking questions today through the phone bridge and on social media using the hashtag AskNASA. But before we begin taking questions, we'll hear some opening remarks from Tom Marshburn. Tom, take it away.
Oh, sure. I tell you what, it's been a huge honor to be living and working aboard the International Space Station. We've all had quite a bit of time with a lot of work to do over the last several months, working through Expedition 66 and 67, but we've had a lot of fun as well. 3 spacewalks, robotic operations, lots of visiting vehicles, and of course the first private astronaut mission. Those crewmates are with us on board right now. But we do want to take a quick moment to thank the thousands of people, really, all around the world, mission control centers who have made this happen, the payload developers and the scientists who have had incredible ideas of how to utilize this laboratory and trying to squeeze all the information we can from this incredibly unique environment. So we're excited to be here talking to you today, and we're ready to take your questions.
All right, thanks, Tom. We'll begin taking questions now. Our first is from Jeff Faust with Space News.
Good afternoon. I wanted to ask, you've had the Axiom 1 private astronauts on the station for nearly a week now. What's it been like sharing the station with them, and have they been good house guests?
It's been a really exciting week. We all know that we're part of really an historic mission here. The first private astronauts is going to be opening up the way for space for everyone, really. This is just that first step. They've also brought with them some incredible hardware. We've been doing some internationally recognized science, and they've been performing that as well. We've had a lot of fun showing them around, showing them how to live and work in the space station. They've been great crewmates. They've been very kind and gracious with us as well. And so it's been a wonderful week.
Our next question comes from social media. Matthias, this one's for you. What was your favorite research experiment you worked on?
Well, I did lots of science experiments, and like being a material scientist, I really enjoyed being up here and doing almost 100 different experiments or participate in these experiments. But if I can only select one, then I would choose concrete hardening. It's an experiment which is interesting from a material science point of view because we gain a lot of data that we can use later on for simulations on the ground to produce better materials. But it also has a lot of impact and relevance to like a very hot topic that we have currently on our planet Earth. It's climate change. And climate change comes because we have a lot of CO2 production, and the worldwide concrete production produces 7.3% of CO2. So if we can improve this process, reduce the CO2 emissions due to concrete mixing and all the building industry, then we actually have a massive contribution against climate change. And so this is probably the experiment with the highest impact, I would hope.
And our next question comes from Marcia Dunn with the Associated Press.
Hi. Perhaps for Tom or anyone else who would like to chime in, I wanted to also ask about the Axiom crew. I'm wondering, was it intrusive in any way having 4 guests move in to your home for a whole week, and any safety concerns? And now that you've experienced this, could just about anybody pull off something like that, flying into space and spending a week at the space station? Thank you.
Hey, Marcia. Yeah, so they didn't come up with a minimum of training or with no training. So they actually spent a lot of time at JSC and doing a lot of the training that we do to be ready to do for emergencies and for off-nominal situations. So I think we all felt pretty comfortable, and they actually got the benefit of training with the people who are coming to replace us, the Crew 4 crew. And so not only did they train themselves, but they got to train with other NASA astronauts to sort of see how we work through problems and challenges. And so there's definitely a difference in the amount of training and the experience, but we definitely feel that they are able to take care of themselves and get safely to their vehicle. And then we're able to implement that. And I don't think we found it intrusive. The station's a pretty big place, so it's about the size of a 5-bedroom house. I think, as like Tom said, it's kind of actually cool for us to see. We take for granted how much we've adapted to being up here. So when you see new people come up there and remembering what it was like, it's kind of like when you see kids learning and stuff like that, and having that sort of that joy and the wonder, and teaching them how to control their bodies as they're moving around. So it's actually kind of fun to relive that, and it's actually really good practice for us as we get ready to host Crew 4. I think in terms of anyone doing it, I would say, like Tom mentioned, this is definitely the dawn of a new era. So I think, much like the early aviation industry early on, it was very few people that were doing it, and now it's pretty common for a person to get on an airplane and fly somewhere. So I think as we move forward, we'll have to figure out what the right amount of training is and what the right pace is. But yeah, I think this is definitely the first step of an era of privatizing commercial low Earth orbit and making it accessible to a lot more people.
And our next question comes from Bill Harwood with CBS News.
Hey guys, Bill Harwood at the Kennedy Space Center. I'm going to waste my question with a standard reporter question for crews coming home. I'd like each of you to tell us what you're looking forward to the most back on Earth after 6 months, 5.5 months in space. Thanks.
I think we're all really looking forward to seeing our loved ones, our family and friends on the ground who were so instrumental in supporting us throughout our lives and getting us to this point, and then, of course, supporting us while we've been up here. So I think first and foremost, that's probably all of our answers. And then, of course, we're starting to think about all the different things we might want to eat and drink when we get home. So I think that's on our minds, too.
All right, and our next question.
I'll just add a hot bath to that. I think we'd all like that.
That does sound nice. Our next question comes from Robert Perlman with Collect Space.
Hi, for Raja and Kayla. Before you flew, you said that you were really excited about the turtle takeover of the space station, and you expected some references or decorations to appear during your stay. We all saw your zero-G indicator, FOW, but can you share other ways turtles have manifested aboard the space station?
Yeah, it really has been a turtle takeover. Of course, we have FOW, our zero-G indicator. We've had some turtle T-shirts that we've worn. And it's also been really fun to engage with our classmates who are on the ground. A lot of our classmates stay on CAPCOM, or Capsule Communicator and Mission Control, so we get to actually talk to them on the loops for operational comm. That's been really exciting. We had an all-turtle EVA, which was pretty great. Raj and I did a spacewalk together, which was really cool. So we've had a lot of good turtle time, and we are looking forward to welcoming Bob Hines and Jessica Watkins on Crew 4. So we'll have 4 turtles up here.
Our next question comes from David Curley with Discovery Channel.
Thank you very much. David Curley from Discovery. Kayla, as a rookie, several years wanting to be an astronaut, years training, can you give us a sense of expectations and reality of a long-term stay and a spacewalk? And Raj, like the stash, can you talk about parachutes and the lagging force chute? Do you have any concerns on return? Thank you both.
Yeah, I think for me, this mission has been such an incredible experience. And, having 3 first-time flyers on the crew, it's been really special to have this experience, and especially to have Tom here as a mentor to kind of show us the ropes. And, of course, we had Mark Vandehei with us for the majority of our mission, the second half of his year stay. And I have to say, we really feel like we're super well prepared by our training on the ground to experience this, but there's only so much you can prepare for. I think you can intellectualize the experience of living and working in microgravity, but until you experience it, you don't really know what it's going to be like. The spacewalks were absolutely incredible. That was something I was really hoping I would get the chance to do. And we were super lucky because we all got the chance to do a spacewalk during this mission. And that was kind of a crew goal. We didn't know if it would work out because of the scheduling, but we had a fantastic time out there doing some amazing work, looking down at our beautiful planet. And for us, I think that was a really, kind of the ultimate experience to have together, and really valuable developmental for future missions. And when we start to think about things like going back to the moon, doing a moonwalk, I think that's the best way we could have possibly prepared.
Yeah, and thanks for asking the question. So the mustache is a tribute to General Oles. So there's an Air Force tradition called Mustache March that goes back to that era. Unfortunately, I was doing spacewalks in March, so I couldn't grow a mustache and not interfere with the ComCap that. But I still owe the Air Force a few weeks, so I'm taking it into April. As far as the shoots, so there's tons of people on the ground that look at reviews, look at that data. One of the good things about having 4 shoots on a system is that you can actually do just fine with 3 of them. So all the lagging shoots we've seen have been within the family of what they predict and within the models, and all the nut descent rates have been completely nominal. And so it's all well within the expected behavior. I mean, visually it looks odd when you see it, but it's not totally unexpected. That shoot system is super complicated. But we have total confidence in the system and more importantly in the people who are asking all those questions, looking at the data, the imagery, the models. And so, yeah, we are feeling pretty confident and ready and trustful of the system and ready to go home.
Our next question comes from Zach with the Launchpad News.
Yes, good morning, Space Station. Zach from Edmonton, Canada. Raja, Matthias, and Kayla, this was your first space flight. Could you maybe each share something you found surprisingly easy to adapt to during your long duration stay? Maybe something that was challenging and how you overcame that. Thank you so much.
Well, it's like the first days up here, everyone needs to adapt to the environment, that everything is 3-dimensional, the room is 3-dimensional. So even if you put something on the wall and you think like, okay, I know where it is, it's like you move in space and then you look at it from a different perspective and suddenly it seems like you lost something. So that was the biggest, let me say, the most time-consuming point of the first few days or weeks even, to get used to the 3D environment. But apart from that, I think we all pretty fast adapted. And yeah, I hand over to Raja and Kayla.
I'd say very similar to Matthias, just orienting your eyes, and as you come around a corner in the module, it takes a while to be able to come around the corner in any direction and realize where you're at and instantly orient. And I think now, kind of going back to that point about the private astronauts, it's funny to watch them, relearn that process and always try to orient up and down, whereas we just kind of fly around corners in whatever orientation we have to be, and it just naturally happens. The brain's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think I have similar little things, but one thing that was kind of overwhelming for me when I first got up here about that 3D environment and how much equipment we have up here is there's just a lot of visual input, a lot of cluttered views when you look around because of all the amazing scientific equipment and all of the equipment we have to keep us alive. But it took my brain a while to figure out how to filter that input, what I needed to pay attention to and what I didn't. And so I think I spent a lot of time early on kind of taking in too much, but now it's just second nature to all of us.
And our next question comes from Andrea with Houston Chronicle.
Hi, my question's along a similar line. For 3 of you, this is your first time in space, and as Kayla said, you had your first spacewalk. And so I was just curious, how has the experience compared to your expectations, and what were your favorite moments so far, if all of you have a second to talk about that? Thanks.
Well, I mean, it's like, if I need to summarize like the highlights of this mission, definitely it's the launch, sitting on the rocket and being like accelerated from 0 to 28,000 kilometers per hour within a few seconds or minutes. And then arriving here on the station, like opening the hatch, it felt like, I know this station, and obviously we all know it because we trained so long for it, but then it was completely new and then we had to discover it. So like exploration inside the space station definitely was also a highlight, and then the spacewalk. It's